Hello everybody, so today I will talk about calculus. The topic today is about limit. So now I will show you how to answer. About x, I can put into denominator. So you got about 1 over sine of 2x over x. So that should be like this. Next, I will put number 2 on numerator and denominator. Now, we have the formula in here. When s approaches to number 0, sine of ax over ax equals to number 1. So that means sine 2x over 2x equals to number 1. So we have the final answer. And you got about 1 over 2. And this is the answer for question number 1. Question number 2. I will divide by x on numerator and denominator. Now, I will put number 3 on numerator and denominator. This one you got about number 2 and number 2. Now, we have the same formula in here. That means sine 3x over 3x equals to number 1, similar for this one. And you got about number 3 multiplied by number 1 over number 2 multiplied by number 1. And you got about 3 over 2. And this is the final answer. Question number 3. We know that sine 2x, that is about 2 sine x cosine x. Now, we need to simplify by cosine x. And now I will put b over 2 gone here. And you got about 2 multiplied by number 1. And you got number 2. And this is the final answer. Question number 4. We know that tan x, that is about sine x over cosine x. Now we simplify this one. We see that if we put b over 2 gone here, you got about 0. Now we need to consider about the limit on the left and the limit on the right. Now, for the limit on the right, we see that when s approaches to b over 2 on the right, that means you got about a negative number on the right of b over 2 when we put inside cosine of x. But this one you got about number 1. This is about positive number. Positive divided by negative, you got about negative. But this is you got about 0. So 1 divided by 0, you got about infinity. Now you can do same with the limit on the left, but this is about positive. And this is the answer. The next one, I will put number 9 on numerator and denominator. Just like this. So I will put number 9 gone here. And this one I can put into sine of s over 3 over s over 3 everything to the power of 2. Now we have the formula in here. So s over 3, that's about 1 over 3s So this one capital A represent about 1 over 3. So this one you got about number 1. And this is the final answer. The next one, tan x, that is about sin x over cosine x. Now we can do about factorization by sin x. Next, number 1, that's about cosine x over cosine x. Now I can do about factorization by 1 over cosine x. So I will put cosine x in here. And this one you got cosine x minus 1. Now I will put the negative in here. So we need to put another negative in here. So negative, we change the sign of number 1 and cosine x. You got about cosine x minus 1. Now we need to simplify cosine x minus 1 on numerator and denominator. Now if we put number 0 on here, you got about 0. Now let's go to the next one. For this one, we just put b over 4 on here, 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 and you got about 0. Now let's go to the next one. For tan x, I can put into sin x over cosine x. Sin x, we can do about factorization in here. Number 1, that's about cosine x over cosine x. 1 over cosine x, we can do another factorization in here. Now we simplify 1 minus cosine x. And we just have this one left. And now we put number 0 on here and here. And you got about 0. Now let's go to the next one. We know that tan x is about sin x over cosine x. So sin x, we can do about factorization. Now, we know that sin x over x, you got about number 1 when x approach to number 0. Cosine x, you got about number 1. So we have 1 minus 1, you got about 0 in here. So for this one, we have number 1 multiplied by number 0. And you got about 0. Now let's go to the next one. About this one, we apply the formula in here. A squared minus b squared equals to a minus b multiplied by a plus b. So this one is about capital A, this one is about capital B. To create about a squared minus b squared, we need to multiply by a plus b, because I want to cancel about the square root by the power 2 in here. So we need to multiply by the square root of s plus 1 on numerator and denominator. I need to separate about sign here. They are not connected. So for this one, you got about square root of s to the power of 2 minus 1 to the power of 2, and you got about s minus 1. Next, I will put the negative in here. So we have another negative in here. So this one, we change the sign and you got 1 minus s. So when s approaches to number 1, this one side of 1 minus s over 1 minus s, you got about number 1. This is about the formula in here. And this one you got about 1. Similar for a minus s. Now, this one you got about 1. Then we put number 1 in here. And we will have about negative because we still have about negative sign. Number 1 multiplied by this one. But now we put number 1 gone here. We calculate about this one, you got negative number 2. Now let's go to the last one. We know that tan s is about sin s over cosine s. Now we multiply by cosine s on numerator and denominator. So for this one, you got cosine s minus sin s. Now we put the negative sign in here and here. So this one you got about sin s minus cosine s. We need to simplify on numerator and denominator. And now I will put b over 4 gone here. And this one you got negative the square root of number 2 over 2. This is the end. Thank you for watching.